G'day Darkrealmers, it's horror author and illustrator Michael J. Elliott here with you again today, and we're going to be kicking off 2018 with a book review. Hey, if this is your first time to the Diaries, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us, and if you want to keep up with the best in horror from book reviews, movie reviews, creepypasta and trivia, then hit that subscribe button and you'll always be on top. Okay, Darkrealmers, today we're going to be dissecting Stephen King's Bazaar of Bad Dreams. So is it any good? Well, I'll let you know because we're going to get stuck into it right now. Yeah! Well, Darkrealmers, I always think of Stephen King in terms of the old children's nursery rhyme. There was a little girl who had a little curl right in the middle of her forehead, and when she was good, she was very, very good, but when she was bad, she was horrid. And that's my feelings about Stephen King's writings. When he's good, he's brilliant, but when he's bad, he's bad. Okay, and the last really good novel I enjoyed was The Man Who Went Back in Time to Prevent Kennedy's Assassination. And forgive me because I can't remember the date, and Americans do their numbers a little bit different to we British writers. Okay, now first thing I just want to get off my chest is the cover. Now this is a library copy, okay, Darkrealmers, but the cover, yep. Now, the graphic designer who designed that really needs to hand his degree back and take a pay cut, because if I hadn't seen Stephen King's name on the book, I wouldn't have picked it up at all, okay? Now I know in the traditional publishing world they have big think tanks and they spend hours discussing fonts and everything like that, but really, Darkrealmers, does that say, you know, horror to you or, you know, creepy? No, didn't do it for me. But if you notice it on the thumbnail, I've used the newer version. So someone had the inside knowledge or the sense to basically change the cover to something that was more King, more creepy. Okay, now onto the stories themselves, Darkrealmers. The interesting thing about the book is that Stephen King introduces all the stories himself, and he talks about what point in his life he was at when he was writing these stories and the circumstances that came around when he was writing them, okay, which is great, you know, if you like a little bit of background, if you like to know a little bit more about your authors. First off, I have to say, Darkrealmers, if you're expecting pure horror with this collection, a la It or, you know, Christine, Carrie, something like that, you may be disappointed because there are some horror ones in here and some black humour and some that just may leave you scratching your head, okay? Now, the first one in the book is called Mile 81, and Stephen King in the introduction says, you know, you may find this shades of Christine and you're thinking, oh wow, but he says it's not Christine. But what he does, he says it's, you know, a story about a car that isn't, okay, and it's basically some sort of creature that looks like a car that eats people, okay, and he says it's a bit different. But hey, didn't he do this from a Buick 8? Remember that story about a Buick that actually transported people to another dimension or its home world? So even though the story was slightly different, I kept thinking, this is old ground a bit, Steve, okay? Now, there was another story called Premium Harmony, and that was about a married couple who'd been married for a long, long time. They weren't happy, maybe on the verge of divorce. He smoked, she didn't like it, she was overweight, he didn't like it, and they stopped off at a store to get their niece a ball for her birthday. Well, the whole crux of the story is the woman goes in there and drops dead. I was expecting some sort of twist, I was expecting something dark, something horrible, but I don't know whether Stephen King was trying to be ironic or whether he was saying, you know, shit happens, whatever, but it left me cold, Darkrealmers, and that's one of the things with this collection. There'll be stories there that, you know, will just leave you wondering what King's intention was. But having said that, I'm not going to concentrate on all the bad ones, because there are some really clever ones in here, okay? Now, there is one called Bad Little Kid, okay? Now, Stephen King says in the introduction he wanted to do a story about a kid who wasn't the son of Satan, he wasn't a demon, he was just pure evil. And in this story, this young kid torments the protagonist, but he doesn't actually hurt him. He causes events to hurt or kill the people around him he loves. Well, when this kid grows up, he still sees the kid again, but the kid hasn't aged. So I'm thinking, okay, well, that didn't pull me out of the story, but I'm just thinking, Stephen King, if you said to me that it's just about an evil child, why didn't he grow up? What sort of entity was he? And why did you say that to the readers, which gave us something we were expecting that wasn't, okay? Maybe it was a slip up, I don't know. But I tend to get a little bit annoyed about things like that. It's like being promised, you know, something and then, no, sorry, no, you made a mistake. No, that's not what I said at all, okay? Now, there's another story which is really interesting, and it's called You Are. Now, this story came about because when Amazon was launching Kindle, they invited Stephen King to write a story to help promote Kindles when they were in their infancy. And this is a very clever story, I have to say, because I'm a big fan of parallel worlds and whatever. Well, an English lit teacher, American literature teacher, who splits up with his girlfriend, who's the coach and the physical education instructor, decides that, you know, okay, maybe I will get a Kindle. Well, this Kindle arrives, but it's pink, and we all know they don't make pink Kindles, okay? Well, he finds when he goes through the sub-menu that he finds books that are written by Ernest Hemingway, that just don't exist. They were never published. They, you know, and he's wondering, are these lost masterpieces? Okay, he finds works by Shakespeare, Two Hampshire Ladies. Okay, unheard of. And then, you know, as the story progresses, he realises that what he's got hold of is a Kindle from another dimension where things aren't quite the same. We still have Shakespeare, we still have Mark Twain, but they didn't die when they were in our world when they were meant to, and they went on and wrote stories. And one of his students say, hey, why don't you write them up, and, you know, you'll be praised as the next Hemingway. He said, no, I don't feel comfortable about doing that, you know. And 10 points for Stephen King, who didn't take the easy way out with that one. But the real creepy factor comes in when they go into the sub-menu again and pick up the local papers and headlines and finds out what's happening in the future, okay? And that's really great. So look, this is a good collection, don't get me wrong, Darkrealmers, but as I said, it's not pure horror, okay? There's some dark humour, there's some irony, there's, you know, just stories about, you know, everyday situations that may leave you feel a little bit cheated, you know, because you think of King and you think horror and you think dark and you think creepy, okay? But don't let it get you. I mean, the great thing about books like this with Stephen King or any other author is if you get a story you don't like and you're not getting into it, skip it. Try the next one. If that doesn't take your fancy, skip that one, okay? Nothing to stop you doing that. You're not cheating. You're just finding something you like, okay? All right, Darkrealmers. Well, that's my review of Stephen King's Bazaar of Bad Dreams. I hope you've enjoyed my review. If you've read the book, let me know in the comments what you thought about it and what were your favourite stories, okay? Now, there's no need, well, actually, I'm telling you now, but it's a Stephen King book, so it's available everywhere in e-format, in traditional publishing. So, yeah, check it out for yourselves. okay? And let me know if I've inspired you to pick it up for yourself, okay? Alright, Darkrealmers, well that's it from me, horror author Michael J. Elliott. I'll see you again next time, but I strongly advise, if you're going to read Stephen King or anyone else of that nature, remember, stay in the light. Bye for now.